everyone, and welcome to another edition of Almost Martha. I know, it's good to be back in the kitchen. I've been away for a while. I was in Italy, and then I went to Iowa to see Mom. Hi, Mom, who was a little under the weather, and now I'm back, and I am thinking about Thanksgiving, as so many cooks are right now. What are we going to have for Thanksgiving? So I was inspired by the Great British Bake Off, who just had Carmel week a little while ago. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try and make this caramel dessert that I really love from a restaurant here in town. And it's very simple. It's whipped cream on the bottom, a layer of caramel, then a layer of roasted hazelnuts. Oh, it's really delicious. But the trick is the caramel. So I'm going to try to make it with sugar in the raw. I do have someone coming that doesn't eat refined sugar. Those of you that know me know exactly who that is. She's coming. I want to make sure I make my desserts, with raw sugar so she can eat all of them. So I'm going to try the caramel and we're going to see. I hear it burns more easily if you use sugar in the raw, but we're going to see together. Hopefully it's going to work out just fine. So hold on, and we're going to make a delicious whipped cream hazelnut dessert. Haven't really thought of a name for it yet, but I'll come up with one. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Okay, so I have in my pan 1 cup of the sugar in the raw, 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter sliced, 1 teaspoon and 1/4 of fine sea salt, and 1/2 cup of cream. And it's 4 ingredients. That's really all that you need. So right now, just waiting for my sugar to start to melt. I have a whisk handy. I have a spatula. I have more spatulas ready in case things get dicey, because you just never know. So we'll see how this goes. I have this on like medium heat, I guess. This goes up to 9. I have it on a 5 right here. So it's at medium high. This is at like a low medium high, like on the lower end of that, because I don't want things to burn. So we'll see what happens. Pretty smooth, which is good. I'm going to take that heat down just a tad. Okay. I think I've got about my big lumps out. I'm going to get it off the spatula as best we can. Okay. And now I'm going to start to add some butter. There we go. I'm going to take it off the heat. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there. All right. I'm going to start to stream my cream in. I do not have it on the heat. I do not have it on the heat right now. I've moved it off the heat. A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. This is my 1/2 cup heavy cream. And now I'm going to add my salt in as well for that salted caramel. And let's keep going till we get nice and smooth and incorporated. I have a salsa jar from last night. And that's what I'm going to pour this caramel in. So some of the sugar really stuck inside of the whisk. So try to prevent any big sugar glops going in there. I'm going to taste this. I'm going to taste this sauce. Mm. Oh yeah, that's actually pretty good. Mm. Mm. Okay, super cool. So let's let this sauce get perfectly cool, and I hope it's gonna, thicken up just a little bit. So I'm gonna put this away and let it cool, and then we'll move on to, step number 2. But yeah, that's pretty tasty. Okay. Okay, so the caramel was really runny when I made it, but everything that I read about it was, don't worry, just let it cool. And once it cools, it's going to harden up. So I'm like, okay, that sounds good to me. And guess what? I put it in the refrigerator. It hardened up. It's beautiful. We actually had one last night with some hazelnuts on top, which is exactly how they serve it in the restaurant. But I had another idea today about how to do this for Thanksgiving. So I'm taking 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, but I am going to add a little salt to it as well, because I do think the salt is important. So I'm going to have about a pinch of salt, about 2 pinches of salt in there. Put it right in that butter. I know it kind of seems counterintuitive sometimes, but you can control the salt level a bit better. So I have about 2.5 cups of pecans. I'm going to throw some pecans in there, and I'm going to also add some more of that raw sugar. So I'm going to start by adding, this is about, it's just a little under 1/2 cup of sugar in the raw. It's really sort of about all the the ratio of sugar and butter to get what I'm going after, and that's going to be some lovely caramelized pecans, right? So, and that's what we're going to put on top of the Thanksgiving. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to measure backwards here. Now I have about a 1/3 cup left in there, so now I'm just going to dump these pecans in here and get them nice and coated. Now, if I was going to make glazed pecans just to have like as a side for cheese and stuff, I would put a little bit of cayenne in there because it makes it really good. And now that I say that, I am going to add just a little bit, I think, because I think it'll be good. Okay, here's my cayenne. So I'm not going to add a whole lot because this is going on top of a dessert, but I am going to add just a little bit of sprinkle, just a little bit. So I won't even be able to tell it's in there, but it's just going to add to the whole thing. Okay. Now I'm just trying to get that sugar to melt just a little bit. So I ended up putting about 2/3 cup of the sugar in the raw with 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 pinches of salt, and just a dash of cayenne. I have my oven heating on 400 degrees, and I have a pan lined with aluminum foil, and we're going to put it in the oven to finish this off. So you don't want it swimming in butter. That's why we look for a good ratio of sugar to butter. And we're just going to get this melting process started, and then we're going to put it in the oven and finish it off. We've got it melting. Sugar is melted. It's covering the pecans. There's some glops of it. That's fine. So I'm just going to put it on the pan, and we're going to finish this process in the oven just a little bit. And you just want to spread them out sort of as best you can. And it won't take long to really finish this up. So you've really sort of made caramel already. And now we're just trying to get some caramelized pecans. Okay. Beautiful. Actually, yep. Okay. Now I'm just going to put this, in the oven. So now I'm just going to put this in the oven and we're going to let it bake for a few minutes. We're going to stir it up. And then we're going to have some lovely caramelized pecans to put on top. Fabulous. Fabulous. All right, I just pulled them out of the oven. As you can see, they're lightly browned now. It was very sort of pale and stuff when I put them in the oven. So now all we have to do is just let these babies cool down and they're going to harden and they're going to be great on top of our dessert. So, looking good. Okay, we need whipped cream. And the whipped cream has to be pretty stable whipped cream. And you can, and by stable, I mean, you don't want it to weep and fall and do all this stuff. You really want it to be nice and stable, nice and firm for a long period of time. So I'm adding about a tablespoon of cream cheese for every cup of whipped cream that I'm putting in. So 2 cups, that's 2 tablespoons. And this will help keep your whipped cream nice and firm, longer. And it needs to be nice and firm because this is what the caramel is going to rest on top of. So we're going to start to whip the whipped cream. And I really just kind of want to get this cream cheese incorporated. Start to add some sugar. I'm going to make like chantilly whipped cream. So I have some powdered sugar and I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons. And because Thanksgiving and all this stuff are going with pecans, we're going with caramel, I'm going to add a little bit of bourbon flavor to it without bourbon. So instead of bourbon, I'm just going to use a little bourbon extract. Not too much, just a wee little bit. I don't want to add a lot of liquid, so the bourbon extract really works kind of well. Okay. It's very stiff. And I gotta stop it. This is the moment of truth. That's great. Ooh, that's gonna work so well with those pecans. My. But for right now, I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. I'm gonna let this chill, kind of re-stiffen just a little bit. That little tad of cream cheese in there. And then we will assemble our desserts once those pecans have really cooled down. I mean, ideally, you want to be able to make this a day before. If you can make it a day before, boy, you got much less to do day of. So I'm going to make a few tonight, and I'm going to leave one in the refrigerator, and we'll see, how it stays overnight, because that's what I'm going to need it to do. Even though refrigerator space is going to be at a premium, these are all things you got to think about. All things you got to think about. Oh yeah. Wow. Bourbon extract, that's really nice. And I really just added maybe 3 drops. So you could probably add even more. But right now I'm going to cover this up. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, get it nice and cold, and then we'll start to layer it. Okay. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Now, this is my test kitchen. So we are testing this out to see if it is Thanksgiving worthy. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's nice and stiff. Look at that. That's great. This is the base. We want to get it layered nicely. You don't want any holes in there. You also don't want it to be messy. So if you see any air holes in there, just press those air holes out because you don't want to see that. You just want it nice, smooth, and then we will fix up the sides after too. Okay, because you want it to have a nice crisp edge. Okay, just a tad more here. Now if you have helpers the day before, this is a good job. Get this base layer down in here. You don't want to make a gigantic one. You know, in the restaurant, it's pretty big. It's like one you can share. So it might be good to do some smaller. You've got nice little dessert footed cups like this, or you can find, something that will do it. But it would be nice if you put it in a clear glass so they can see the whole effect. So let's just tamp this down. Get all of those air pockets out of there. You want it to be nice, solid cream. And when you store these in the refrigerator, you could stack them. You could put a piece of cardboard on top, so you could just kind of stack them up. It's just a good way to get them in there. I know the refrigerator space, that is at a premium at Thanksgiving. Okay, just gonna add a little more. It's important to have a good base of whipped cream on the bottom, because you're really, it's more whipped cream than caramel, because the caramel is really sweet, right? You can't just give them a vat of caramel. So we want a nice layer of whipped cream on the bottom. Great, 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 great. And it's good if they're, kind of similar in size with all the ratios. It just kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect, but at least similar would be good. And let's see here. I see an air pocket. Hold on. Okay. A little air pocket right there. All right. Fantastic. This is good. Now we're gonna clean it up. We're gonna clean it up. So we'll try a couple things. Let me get a paper towel, and we just wanna clean that edge, because we want to get a nice sort of sharp edge of caramel here. Because you also people eat with their eyes too, right? So if it looks great, it's gonna taste great. Like at a restaurant, one of the last things they do before they get a plate out to you is they have somebody take a cloth and wipe any splatters, anything from around the plate, because just doesn't look right. This doesn't look right when it's all messy. And that's a good thing to do at home too. Nobody likes a messy plate. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. All right, got our whipped cream. Now it's time to deal with the caramel. All right, we kind of want to get this even too as best we can. I have to tell you, this caramel was not thick like this last night. I was really worried about it. And I was, looking at what can you do to thicken caramel? It's just too thin. I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I gotta thicken this caramel up. And she's like, just let it cool. Just let it cool. So thanks for being the voice of reason, Mom, and telling me to just wait. Don't do anything. Let that caramel get nice and cold. That's going to thicken it up. So moms are always right, aren't they? Moms are always right. Moms get smarter as time goes on. It's funny how that happens. Okay. I'm just I'm piling this in the center, and I'm going to let it, float out to the edge. My Tostitos jar. We ate some of this last night, so that's why there's not a lot of caramel in here. As it was thickening up, I sort of made a test batch. But we put hazelnuts on it last night, which is what they do in the restaurant. And I have a feeling what we're doing here is going to be better. Okay. And let's just let this float to the edge. And it should just even out all on its own. So you don't have to spread it and fret with it. It'll do that itself. But this is one reason why we wanted that whipped cream to be nice and stable, because it is the bed that the caramel rests on. Okay. One little bubble in there. Okay. The caramel recipe made about a cup of caramel. So I would probably double this batch, maybe triple it, in order to get what I would need to make about, eight of these. So might not be the best dessert for a huge crowd because of the amount of caramel that you have to make. But, oh man, it's going to be really good. And it's going to be beautiful. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit for a minute. Okay. So I have my caramelized pecans here. And we're just going to do a rough chop. It's not bad if you have some whole pecans. No one's going to be upset about that. You're also going to get pieces of the, little caramel crystals on there too. And that will be good as well. Okay. Now, I'm just going to sort of pile these on top. And if you put this back in the refrigerator and cover them up and let the caramel stiffen back up, the caramels, all of these pecans will stay on the top. They're not going to sink to the bottom. The warmer the caramel is, the more those pecans can sink. Not that that's a tragedy, but you know, it's nice. It's nice for it to look really good. Okay, so it might be nice just to take one whole pecan half and put it right in the center. Wow. Wow, that is something. That is something. Gotta clean that edge a little better. Wow, you guys! Oh my gosh, they look great. Look at that. Look at that. Got a nice little rim of caramel there. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That looks really, really good. And it looks great with the pecans on top. That is really beautiful. Really beautiful. So I'm going to take a couple of these and I'm going to wrap them up and put them in the refrigerator because I want them to, you know, get cold again. I want that caramel to get a little chilled again. And then I'm going to take a look at them tomorrow, make sure they still, you know, look really good. Still look pretty. I think they look fabulous. They look very Thanksgiving-y, very Thanksgiving-y. Okay. But because, you know, this is almost Martha and I gotta taste it so you know it's good, right? Okay. Okay. Mm. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It doesn't take that much caramel. So that thin little strip of caramel is really all you need. Oh my God, the pecans are caramelized and that little bit of bourbon extract in the whipped cream. Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 yes. That's fantastic. So we are this can be your caramel pecan parfait for Thanksgiving. Really wonderful. And you can tell everybody you've designed this dessert yourself. No, tell them you got it from Almost Martha. Please, please go to my website, almost-martha.com, and you can get this along with all of my other desserts. But this, people are going to flip over this. If you have smaller cups, you could make them in much smaller cups too, because you're going to have other things than this, right? People just like a little taste of something. So if you have smaller ones like this, that might be the thing to do, because this is a lot, and this is, man, is it good. Yes. So go to the website, get the recipe, and we're going to try another Thanksgiving dish that I'm going to try out before Thanksgiving. But this just has Thanksgiving written all over it. So enjoy. And if you do in smaller cups, you don't have to make as many, right? So this recipe will go a bit further. So fantastic, fantastic. So I hope you try it. Go to the website, get that recipe, and come back next time. We're going to try a great dessert also to debut for Thanksgiving. But nice to be back. Hi, Mom. See you later. Bye, guys. Bye. Oh my gosh. It's really good.